YouTube, what's going on? Horse Racing Gamer here. Welcome to another Gallop Racer tutorial. I know it's been a while since I've done my first one, but this is going to be an ongoing series. I have a lot of topics I want to cover in general across several Gallop Racer games, horse racing games in general, so be on the lookout for those. Today, we're just going to be going into a quick beginner's guide on how to pick the right horses for the right races and how to win those races, and I'll go over a couple other key points as well. I'm going to try to make this pretty quick, but make sure I'm thorough in my discussions here. So thank you guys for love and support. Let's get right into it. So first things first, I'm going to talk about the horse's conditioning, which is ultimately the most important thing you should be doing and checking before you put your horse into every race. Now, of course, this is for people that are either new to horse racing gaming, new to the Gallop Racer series, or maybe you're new to horse racing in general. I have received a couple of comments over the last year of some new supporters and people that have come to this community that were not initially into horse racing or are just now getting into it. So for those of you that have been here for a while, keep that in mind. There are still new fans coming into horse racing all the time. So yeah, just be mindful of that. So anyways, as you can see, on the right side, you see those rotating triangles. Now that represents the conditioning and the health and well-being state that your horse is essentially in. Blue represents that your horse is essentially at 100%, ready to go, no issues, no problems. They're ready for a race. Orange means your horse just recently raced and needs quite a bit of time off. So that horse is fatigued, tired. Give them a couple weeks, a month, 2 months, however long they need to rest until they get back into where that triangle turns from an orange to a blue. Blue is always a state you want to get your horses to. Yellow is slight improvement. Yellow is like, okay, your horse is at 50%. Okay, it's been a little bit since the last race, but they're still not close to race condition, anytime soon. So that just means still give them a couple more weeks, maybe a month tops, and then they'll be ready to go. Green represents that your horse is essentially at 80%. They're pretty competent enough to run a race. You could still win. I've done that several times in most of my playthroughs, winning when my horses are not quite at 100%, but you have to have a real all-star of a horse, or just have a horse that runs the right race at the right time in the right conditions, and you can still get wins. It's just going to be harder. Trust me, there is a difference when your horse is at, let's say, this green level of 80% compared to the blue level at 100%. You will feel that difference in races sometimes. So just wanted to make sure I got that out of the way for anybody that is new, especially if you're playing this game. Now, keep in mind the other Gallop Racer games, the triangles aren't going to be rotating like this. Some of them, they'll just be a stationary color. It'll be highlighted over the horse's name. It all pretty much still represents the same thing. Now, two colors you don't actually see here are red, which means your horse is overeager, not happy, really mad that they haven't raced because maybe you haven't found a suitable race for them and they've just had an extremely long layoff. Your horses will get mad. Those triangles will be red. You don't see that here because I usually don't allow that to happen with my horses because it's not fun to ride on a horse that's mad. Trust me, it makes the race a lot harder in this game. Try to avoid it at all costs if you can. If you're stuck with it, you'll just have to do your best. And then also the gray triangle. Gray is when your horse is like not in good shape. Essentially, I would just equate it to your horse being sick, like they're not well, over racing, not getting enough rest, not eating enough. Whatever the case is, the game doesn't say, but that's pretty much what it represents. So if you see a gray triangle here, or your horse's name is highlighted gray like it is in the other games, and you'll see what I'm talking about once we get into those games, or you can just watch a couple of my episodes back and just kind of pay attention to those things. Gray means, yeah, you need to give your horse probably several months. I mean, sometimes in certain instances for some of my horses, that could be 3 months of just complete layoff time until they're ready to go, especially depending on what their fitness and conditioning is. So just keep that in mind. Don't run your horses till they're in the gray. It'll happen sometimes, especially if you're in competitive championship weekends, but outside of that, don't just run your horse into the gray because then you won't recover. So that kind of tackles that. The last and main thing I wanted to discuss, obviously the main point, is how to pick the right races for your horses to have the best chance at winning. So I'm going to do an example here with Arctic Crop. Now I've already put him in a race. I'll just cancel him or scratch him from that race, which you can do in this game as well. If you accidentally put your horse in a race that you don't want, you can do exactly what I do. You would just click on your horse's name, and then it'll bring up this option menu that says, do you want to cancel the race? AKA, do you want to scratch your horse from the race? You'll click yes if you do, and you can re-enter your horse into the same race or another race, which is exactly what we're about to do here with Arctic Crop. So This is the next part of the menu. I showed you guys about checking the conditioning of your horse, because if you don't know what condition your horse is, you shouldn't be running them in a race. That's just negligent. Even in a video game, that's extremely negligent. So always make sure you understand the conditioning and the health that your horse is in before you put them in a race. Next, you come to this screen, which will be different in every game, but it's the main screen that shows you your horse's stats, their ratings, all of that. Arctic Crop, as you can see, is a 6 to 10 furlong horse. He's really fast on the turf, 103 overall turf rating. And what I usually like to do before I put my horse in the race, I always like to check the race form, their previous 3 to 5 races, but 3 races minimum. In this game, you can technically only see the previous 1 race, and you would have to go through a lot of stuff just to see multiple. In this game, it's limited to 1, so just keep that in mind. So the last race he ran in, which I know this race by heart because I've been playing Gallop Racer for obviously forever, is the Royal Cup. He finished 3rd. That is a 6 furlong turf sprint of the grade 1 level, and I think I will go through that here as well towards the end. But that's a grade 1 running 6 furlongs. He finished 3rd. So based off of that, I would want to ideally keep him in that sprinter range of running 6 or 7 furlongs. That's kind of what I like to do with my horses. If they've been running long distances, I want to keep them running long distances. If they've been running short distances, I want to keep them running short distances. Now, you can switch it up if you want to, but I think what's worked for me in having success in championships and awards for our horses is putting them in races that suits their condition and their distance, and not changing that up so much. You have horses that can run virtually anywhere, and sure, you can do whatever you want with them. But if your horse is very specific to running like shorter sprints and they've been having more success, keep them at the shorter sprints. Like, keep your horse in a good rhythm. Don't break it up just to break it up. You know what I mean? Like, keep them working and running what's working, if that makes sense. Like, keep them in the races that are allowing them to win. So here's an example of something we're going to do here for Arctic Crop. Now, he's a grade 1 horse because, again, he just recently ran in a grade 1 and he finished 3rd. Now, here's an example of a race that's not the distance that's preferable for where I'd want him, but it's a good race because it still fits within his max range. Remember, he can run 6 furlongs. He can run the sprint, which is what he did in his last race at that grade 1. He can also run up to 10 furlongs, which is exactly what this grade 2 race is, because I don't think there's another sprint for quite a bit of time. So this is one of those rare cases I just mentioned about 60 seconds ago, where I said that if your horse has the ability to run multiple distances, well, then you can kind of free flow and, you know, put them in races that are suitable when they pop up. But for the most part, you're only going to have a couple of, I mean, you only have a couple of those horses. A majority of your horses, at least in the beginning of this playthrough, whenever you play the game, majority of them are going to have very specific ranges. Like, they're either a really good sprinter or a really good mid-distance runner, or they're really good at long distance. It's rare to get the horses that can run a sprint and then also run like 12 furlongs. Like, those are obviously better quality horses, and they pop up as you progress later in the game. So again, here's an example of a race I would put him in, even though it's not the distance he's been running in. It's a distance he can run, and it is a distance he's had success at. The 10 furlong, longer than usual distance run here at the grade 2 level. 6,400 is the purse for coming in first place. And that's actually the last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to the purse and the prize for entering your horses into race. So I'll just take you guys to the calendar right quick. And most of you already know this, but again, if you are new to horse racing, or you're new to kind of this format of horse racing game, depending on if you play other stuff on your mobile or the PC, let's go ahead and look at the schedule right quick. Now, just to go through the quick levels of competition here to make sure you're putting your horses in the right races. The open allowance type of levels here, this will always be highlighted green in most games. It looks different each game, but the color will always be green. These are your open allowances, your open, your claimers in real life, your maiden claimings, whatever it is, options. Like there's a bunch of race types is my point, and this is a race that you're going to start your mediocre to possibly bad or slow growing horses at. It's safe. I wouldn't put a grade 1 horse in an open because they're going to carry a handicap, and a handicap is just going to mean that they are too good to be in this race, so don't even bother. Grade 2 is the next step up. Pay attention to the purse as well. If you win if you win an open race that we just looked at, you win 2,400 for first place. If you win a grade 3 actually. If you win a grade 3, which is the next level up, you'll get 4,300 for coming in first place. And then if you win a grade 2, which is obviously the next step up from grade 3 and technically one step below grade 1, and not even technically, but in regards to the competition, you'll get a lot of grade 1 horses that will kind of scamper and scurry into grade 2s. So technically grade 2s, in my opinion, depending on the competition, they're just lower level grade 1s, because you'll get some really competitive grade 2 fields with a lot of grade 1 horses. As you can see, purse for winning this race is $6,400. So we went from the open purse, or the open race purse, of $2,400. You move up to the next level at a grade 3, you can win $4,300. You move up to the next level here, which is grade 2, you can win $6,400. And last but not least, the Jewel of Jewels in Gallop Racer, the grade 1, you will go up from winning $6,400 at the grade 2 level to now winning $20,000 at the grade 1 level. So if you keep those things in mind, again, make sure to look at your horse's recent form as well. Ice Crash is one of our newly bred created horses. He's not bad. He's not bad. Obviously an endurance horse, 13 furlongs, so he's got some endurance on him. As you can see, finished 9th in the Emerald. I can't remember if that's an open or a grade 3. I don't think it's a grade 1 or a grade 2. But nonetheless, he finished 9th. It's not a great outing. So based off of whatever distance that race was, maybe I don't put him in that same race, or maybe I drop him a level in competition in class, because 9th, you're not even hitting the board. That's not really a good result, especially in this game. The fields don't get too heavy. 12 horses max is usually what you'll come across. I don't even know if 14, I can't remember if it gets to 14. Maybe it does, but I know it's 12 for sure. I think 12 is the max, but I could be wrong. But 9th out of 12th or 9th out of 14th, however you look at it, not great, especially for a horse that does have 5 wins to his name out of 15 lifetime starts, and he's currently ranked as the 3rd best horse in this current playthrough of mine, somehow, some way. So just keep those things in mind and you should be okay. I'll go over race tactics in another video. That's a whole nother thing. But as far as making sure you're at least putting your horses in the best races to have the highest chance of success of at least hitting the board, finishing in the top 5, finishing in the top 3, getting that money, getting that prize money, those do matter for your stats. So as long as you keep those things in mind with your horse's conditioning, the level of competition from opens to grade 3s, grade 2s, grade 1s, you should be fine and dandy. And I guarantee you that getting into Gallop Racer will not seem as daunting as it can be, which best believe. I have seen some comments, people saying it's a little overwhelming at first, especially if you're not used to playing the game. And I totally get that. For those of us that play it, it's second nature because we've been playing it for forever. But that's how I feel when I'm hopping into a new game that I'm not familiar with either. That's honestly how I feel when I play a champion jockey, well, some people call it that, but G1 jockey, like that game, it's essentially it was kind of like the rival competitor to Gallop Racer at the time when it was obviously out. So that's a game, very similar game to Gallop Racer. When I say very similar, I'm saying in horse racing terms, but like in regards to how the games play, they're actually night and day different. That's one of those games, an example of a game that I struggle to get into unless I really put some time into it. So I understand the same could be for people with Gallop Racer. So hopefully you guys found this tutorial helpful if you are new to the game, or if you just needed some fresh reminders for certain things. I do get comments quite a bit about different aspects, so I just figured it'd be better to start covering them in a video, especially as, again, I am seeing that there are sometimes new people even coming into Gallop Racer for the first time as a horse racing game to play. So I think that's really cool, and I appreciate you guys for the love and support on the channel. If there's anything else you would like me to discuss that maybe I don't already have written down or don't have planned to do, feel free to let me know that in the comment section below. And yeah, we shall go from there. Hopefully I can get an episode out of actually playing through my season mode a little bit, but I'm trying to get some of these tutorial videos out first. It's been on my bucket list for a while. And then we'll definitely get back into Gallop Racer, so I apologize for the lack of uploads. It's been extremely busy for me in work. I haven't had time until now to actually record YouTube videos, but I'm back on the grind. My schedule is going to free up here, as I've been saying for a little bit, and it's finally getting to that point. So yeah, look forward to that, and appreciate you guys. Until next time, HRG signing out. Hope you have a great and fantastic day. I'll see you later, and goodbye.